Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Deer Corner. Just sharpening up a couple knives. Beautiful day out there today. And got to sit out in the sun for about an hour or two and enjoyed it. And I'm up here enjoying the camp, taking it easy, and actually watching quite a few YouTubes. There's a lot of YouTubes coming out, especially now. It's really pushing food plots. Nothing wrong with a food plot. It's actually good deer food. I really don't have much to say about food plots. There's really nothing wrong with them. But that's not the way I like to hunt. And the other thing about it is there's more to wildlife management than a food plot. You got to have cover to where deer feel safe. They can see you, but you can't see them. You got to give them shelter to get in and out of the weather. You got to have water, and you got to have food. So managing wildlife and deer, turkey, pheasant, whatever it is, there's a lot more than a food plot. And a lot of trees, shrubs, and bushes get overlooked. And this is the time of year you got to think about it. You got to think about getting them out there, especially your berry bushes. I'm hard on berry bushes. I'll plant bushes every year. I'm planting some kind of berry bush every year, especially this year. After Hurricane Helene, a lot of trees got knocked down, which opened up the canopy, which gives me a good chance right now to get a bunch of berry bushes out. And I'm just going to give you a list of my top 4 berry bushes, and I'm going to get out. And the thing about planting bushes, I'm just going to back up a little bit. I have found out the hard way. You just don't dig a hole, throw the plant in it, and go. Nor do you do a food plot that way. You prep your food plot. You prep the soil, you get it ready for what kind of seed you put in. And that's the same thing when you're planting bushes. You got to prep it. I've heard more times than once, well, that bush don't grow well here. I planted them and they didn't do anything, and they died, or they just didn't do anything. Well, preparation, I found, is the key to a healthy bush or plant, period, any plant. And we come up with a way, and I think my son got it on Amazon. It was $99. And it's a 52cc post hole digger. Came with an 8-inch, a 6-inch, and a 4-inch auger, 2.5 feet long. That 8-inch auger is a little more for it, especially up here in the clay. But that 6-inch auger does a pretty good job. So what we've been doing is going down 2.5 feet in the ground with the auger. And we pull it up, and then as we're filling the dirt back into the hole, we're adding lime and fertilizer, a starter fertilizer. And we fill the hole up, crown it, and leave it alone. Well, we're going to be going out here. Well, right now, we checked, the soil is running around 58, 59 degrees right now. We don't want to plant, or at least I don't want to put out any plants until the soil temperature gets around 65. On an average, it'll stay 65 degrees. That's the time I put them out. I check it, and we got a little time here yet, about 3-4 weeks. The soil temperature will reach what we're wanting. 65 degrees, stay on the average. That way, at night, if it freezes, it won't hurt the plant. The plant will survive. But I found if it's down around between 50 and 60 degrees, the soil just ain't warm enough yet, and you get a freeze, it's going to hurt the plant. So we're waiting on that, but we got 30 or 40 holes ready to go. We're going to put out a bunch of them this year, a bunch of them. But we plant native. We plant nothing but native bushes. And the reason that is they grow well in this area. And my first out of my top 4 is blackberry. My number 1 is blackberry. And I plant native blackberries. There's a lot of them out on the market. We've tried them. We had them grow. They look good. They did good for a couple of years. And they just petered out. They just died off. And come to find out is the way that they are selected in growth when they are planted and started, like your thornless, they're not made to grow or how do you want to say it, develop to grow more than 5 years. 5 years is their life. So you have to buy them again and plant them over. But my first is blackberry. My second one's wild plum. I like wild plum. But thing about a wild plum is once it gets going in about 2 years, you have to cut the top out of it, or else it will grow straight up. So if you cut the top off of it, it'll bush out. And my third one is Carolina buckthorn. It's a hardy tree. Now don't get it mixed up with black cherry. They look almost alike. You really have to look at the bark to tell the difference. But the other name for Carolina buckthorn is Indian cherry. It used to be called Indian cherry before they changed the name, but it's a good hardy bush. And the thing I like about it is the more the deer in the wintertime browse on it. It's kind of like nature's way of pruning a tree. The following spring, where it chewed on one sprout, it's going to come up with 2 sprouts. And it will take off. Once you get them established, all these bushes will thrive. And my fourth one is American Beauty bush. Now, the American Beauty bush is the same way. That deer chew on it, it'll sprout out. It'll double the sprouts. But the thing about these bushes, and why they're my top 5, starting in late June, end of July through July, my blackberries are coming in. Now, I have blackberries everywhere. And that brings the deer in. And that holds the deer there. They're eating blackberries, eating what greens are around, but they're into them blackberries. So you got cover, and they got shelter. And they got the blackberries. But once the blackberries start falling out, the wild plums come in. So they're into the blackberries, then they got the wild plums. So you're running into August, September. Then your Carolina buckthorn comes in. Then you're starting to get into October and into November. But when October comes, your beauty berries come in. And the thing about the beauty berries, they hang for a while, then ripen. They don't fall on the ground and ripen, they ripen on the stem. So the deer are actually picking them off, the ripe ones. and you're into November. Then you get into your acorns. You get into your persimmons. So from July all the way up to the end of November into December, there's something in that area for deer to feed on. But then after November into January, you got a lot for them to browse on. Your beautyberry, high in protein, very high in protein. Your wild plum, another plant, is very high in protein for them to browse on. So the more bushes you get out, the more they thrive, the more you have a double food source. Not only the fruit, but you also have the browsing. And that's where you hold your deer. That's how you hold deer on a piece of property. You give them something all the time. Now, you give them cover, you're giving them shelter, you're giving them food, and you're giving them some sort of water. Because during the summertime when it's hot, they're eating the fruit, and the fruit is 60% water. So you're giving them water. But that's one thing. And the thing about them, once you're established, you get 10 to 20 years out of them. And thing about a food plot, you're going to be putting something in it. In the spring, you're going to be paying. And in the fall, you're going to be doing it. Year after year after year, you're going to be putting into it. But with bushes and getting into wildlife management in a management area, in the timber, you're getting something from 10 to 20 years. And that's one thing I like, what I like about it. That's why I like browsing and getting into browsing now. I did say my son, he's going to be putting in a food plot around 4 acres. But that's for dove and turkey, and deer will be into it too, but mainly a dove field. And I have no problem with that. But I hope you got your mineral blocks out right now. I hope you got a fetal program going right now. That's what the mineral blocks for. And I'm going to be bringing that up here shortly about a fetal program. But go ahead, leave me a comment. Give me a thumbs up. I'll get back with you. And I'm just going to sharpen another knife, call it a day. And if you're in the woods, be safe. You'd rather be safe than sorry. And things do happen. They do. And we'll see you again.